Welcome to another special episode of the Access VFX podcast, another Celebrity Squares episode. And it's episode 31, the third part of what is essentially becoming a new video series addressing what is becoming our kind of new normal in the current climate. So far, we've addressed careers advice and standing out or staying in. And we've also kind of pushed our Access VFX e-mentoring platform. This episode, we've aptly titled Staying Well While Staying In. And we're hoping to address kind of our own mental health and resilience on this mental health kind of special, really, on this particular episode. So as we all know on this call, and anybody listening, either on our podcast platforms or on YouTube, working from home has become the new normal. And we want to have a conversation about what it really means for our wellness and our workload. So we're going to talk both around kind of mental health and how we can kind of overcome some of the challenges there, but also actually how we manage our day to day, because working from home for most people used to be a bit of a break from the norm. And now it's everything, right? Like going to work will be a weird kind of break from the norm soon. So we've assembled another wonderful team. We've got our biggest turnout yet on these Celebrity Squares episodes, and everybody will introduce themselves shortly. But I also wanted to extend a special warm welcome to our special guest, George, co-founder of Sanctus. Are you officially co-founder, George?
Yeah, that's right,
George? Phew. So we're going to come to you in a minute, George, but I thought we'll start with awkward introductions as we always do. So I'm going to throw it out to the team to introduce themselves on the pod.
Great. Hi, I'm Sara. I'm the HR director here at Jellyfish Pictures.
Thank you, Sara.
I'm Tom Box, co-founder of Blue Zoo Animation.
Brilliant.
And I'm Grace Hebditch. I'm marketing coordinator at Blue Zoo Animation.
Brilliant. Thank you, Grace. You all clearly forgot the order, but that's fine. So we're going to move back to Sara from Framestore.
Hi, I'm Sara. I'm the HR administrator here at Framestore.
Thank you, Sara. Oh, Chloe, you're on mute. Technical difficulties already.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm the recruiter at Foundry.
Brilliant. Jez. Come on, Jez.
Hi, sorry, I totally forgot the
order. You can't sign out now.
I'm Jez. I am a department manager at DNEG, looking after our developers.
Thank you, Jez.
Hi, I'm Jenny, and I look after PR and communications at Milk Visual Effects.
Brilliant. Yes, I just realised we completely missed your spot on the order, Jenny, so thank you for chipping in there.
Hello, I'm Emma. I'm a producer at Moonraker VFX.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emma. Pete?
Hi, I'm Paul Wilkes, Head of Talent Acquisition at Mill and NPC.
Brilliant. And then last but not least?
Pete, I'm Managing Director at Bait Studio in Cardiff.
And even more last but not least, that couldn't have got any worse, could it? We've got Andy. Can't miss Andy.
Hello, thank you. I'm Andy Brassington. I'm Head of Talent Development at Escape Studios.
Excellent. And finally, we have...
I'm very last but not least, George.
Last.
Yeah, I'm George. I'm one of the co-founders of Sanctus.
Amazing. Thank you, George. So as I said, George is joining as our kind of only non-kind of VFX games or animation person, but George runs Sanctus, which is I'm going to let George explain it, but is a mental health movement in many ways. But George, do you want to explain a bit about what Sanctus are all about and why you set it up in the first place?
Yeah, sure. And also nice to meet you all. Thanks so much for having me as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so Sanctus, we are essentially on a mission we're trying to change the perception of mental health. Our big sort of vision is to one day put the first mental health gym on the high street. That's kind of what we've been working towards for the last 3 or 4 years. Sort of the day that work on your mental health is as normal and as accessible as working on your physical health. So Sanctus was sort of started by me and my best mate, James, my co-founder. We ran a tech company before this, and long story short, sort of experienced, our own mental health in different ways. And that kind of led to us talking about our experience and our own mental health. And really, as you said, Simon, started as a movement of us trying to talk about it and normalize it for ourselves. And we also wanted a space to work on our mental health and talk about it in a normal way. So how that sort of has evolved over the last 3 or 4 years is we've ended up taking Sanctus to the workplace, or the gym to the workplace. And how that has looked is we have a team of highly qualified practitioners, so Sanctus coaches, that go into businesses to create a safe, impartial, confidential space at work where employees can book in for a Sanctus session with a Sanctus coach to talk. It's just a space, it's a sanctuary, it's a space for you as an individual to talk and work on your mental health. And so we've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years. And I think last month, 1,000 people booked in for a Sanctus session. So last year, thousands of people booked in for Sanctus sessions at work.
Wow.
Across lots of different types of companies as well, from 1,000, 4,000 person businesses at the BBC through to small 20-person agencies, creative agencies, where everyone in the company sort of has access to Sanctus and works on it every month. So yeah, it's been a really, sort of organic journey, I'd say. But then the last 2 weeks has really been, very challenging for us, but also I feel like at this time, having for me personally, and also just I'd love to hear other people's experiences over the last few weeks, because I think for me, having a space to talk and work on things right now has felt more important than ever. So I'm hoping we can support as many people as possible right now.
Brilliant. No, thank you, George. That's great. And with that in mind, actually, talking about people's experiences, I want to throw this out to the rest of our guests on this episode. Is, now that we've all kind of been working at home now at varying degrees, right, for a while. Some of us it's been about a couple of weeks. Some of us it's been almost a month. And I wanted to kind of get a sense of what are the unexpected new challenges, and I've flippantly called them new things. What new things have come up that you didn't see coming, having worked from home kind of exclusively? And remember, this is working from home in a different sense now, isn't it? Because you can't just kind of clock off and go for a walk or go for a drink or go for a meal or do something. You're in the office, permanently. So I kind of wanted to get an idea of what new stuff has come up. Does anybody want to start that conversation? Tom?
I was going to say, because previous to this, I've worked from home kind of 1 day a week, and that balance has been a really nice way of kind of getting that balance. But one of the ways kind of like dealt previously with getting that right is by going out to the shops or going to the coffee shop, and you can't do that anymore. So you're completely isolated. I think that's the biggest change from just calling it work from home to the situation we're in now, which is completely, different from what working from home was previously.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Emma, what was your point you had to make?
I'm a single mum. I've suffered with depression and anxiety for about 6 years, and actually going to work was the place that made me come out of myself and not hide. So all of a sudden, I'm learning to be a producer from home with technology things going on, but also homeschool my 2 children and trying not to go deep, buried inside myself, let the depression kick in. So it's been an incredible week, which I'm lucky to have a wonderful team around me that work where individually we're checking in with each other every morning. And after lunch, we're trying to, every couple of days, have group sessions where we're just interacting and laughing and being silly. We are going easy on each other, so if I can't cope, if I'm not able to do a task, I'm asking for help, which actually is really difficult for someone with anxiety to be able to ask for help. And I thought it'd make me go in myself, but it's making me come out more, because I'm having to put my hand up and say, I'm struggling, will someone help me please? And that's quite a challenge, actually.
Wow, okay, so it's almost kind of a reverse of what you would expect from that level of isolation, right? I thought
I'd go to bed and never get out of it, but actually I can't do that because I've got 2 little people who need to learn how to read, write, cook, do science. It's all a bit crazy.
Cool, thank you, Emma. Paul, you were going to add to this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as Tom said, the ability to go outside is one of the things. And then obviously Emma's just mentioned it as well, is having children at home, for a longer period in the day. I've worked from home the majority of my time for quite a long time now, over 5 years, actually. So it's been very strange for me kind of getting into this environment where now everyone else is doing the same thing. So it's, but yeah, obviously having the kids at home is probably the biggest difference, and actually taking time out of my day to help my wife do a bit of homeschooling as well.
Sarah, you're going to add to this, and then Sara, and then Pete.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to look at it from in sort of a couple of different lenses, really. I think because in my role as HR director, I'm trying to balance responsibilities of the business and what we need to do to make sure that we are sustainable in how we're working. That if we've got some of the projects are put on hold, we haven't got the income coming in. So we're trying to balance what's right for and supporting people every day in a really, really stressful, immense period of change versus the business. But I think what's been important, hearing from you, Emma, just about your personal challenges there, is trying to look at it in a kind and reasonable way as an employer. So yes, you've got to look at it responsibly, because ultimately if we're not responsible as a company, then that impacts everyone and their jobs. But from a personal point of view, I'm just looking at it, let's be kind, let's give people time, let's be realistic. People are homeschooling, people are finding this an incredibly anxious time. What are you going to be good at? You've got to be a good parent, you've got to be a teacher, but you're not a teacher, you're a producer, you're trying to do your job and live your life. And so we're trying to look at it on a balanced way and give people time and allow people to say, right, I'm logging off for 2 hours, I've got to go and spend some time with my kids and help them and just be with them and help manage their anxiety and their stress, to try and give them as much of a stable base as possible. So just trying to look at it. The challenges are looking at it from my perspective, from a company view, and remaining as kind, considerate and thoughtful as we possibly can for our staff as well.
It's truly flexible working, isn't it? It's kind of like taking a step back on, all parties have to take a step back. Even more so, it's almost like 2 steps back, isn't it? About, you don't know what people are going through at the moment, because the mental health side of things are just going to get ramped up as we go through this state of affairs, this current climate, right? I mean, it's kind of, and not knowing what state people are going to be in another week. I mean, Sara, you had your hand up. Was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I think just a point from me, from being the most junior member of my team, I noticed how not being able to just turn around and say, hey, like, can I get a hand at this, or how do you do this? I was the last one to join and the youngest in my team, so just not having that physical support and being able to see them around me, I didn't think I would miss them that much. And then of course, like, the other pressure of being in HR and having to try to support people. But I really found myself just sharing, and especially with new starters, saying, yes, like, I feel you, because I'm going through the same thing as you. Because if there's one thing in this situation that is different than usual, is that we're all going through the same thing. With added difficulties that may be personal, but we're all going through the same
shared experience.
Thing. Yeah.
Pete, you had your hand up. You're on mute, Pete.
So yeah, as a managing director and also a producer, I guess you're so used to planning ahead and knowing what's coming a week, a month ahead, and now I think the shift for me has been taking every day as a completely different thing. So this is week 3 for me, and I guess the first 2 days I was at home on my own, and the biggest shift there was, like you said at the start, working from home days for me are the one day where I'm not in touch with clients, I'm not in touch with my team, because I'm usually using that day to catch up on the stuff I can't do because I'm so busy. And it took me a couple of days to go, actually, no, I have to be very available. I have to be more available probably than ever, despite the fact I'm sat upstairs in my house. And then like 2 days later, then my daughter was off school from the Thursday of the first week. So there's 2 days of that. Then my wife was at home from the following week. So I think it's every day has been different for me. Then you multiply that by the amount of people in my team, and it's every day is different for everybody, including the actual situation that we're all living through. So it's, if anything, the positive I'm taking from it already is it's already making me roll with the punches a bit more, and just kind of what happens, and I'm going to just, be there for people and for myself. Whereas usually in this kind of role in a business, you're so kind of tied to things in your diary. Like I wanted to catch up with everybody individually on Friday, so I put times in the diary. But then I thought this morning, why have I done that? We're all sat in the house. I can speak to people as and when. I don't have to be quite so, have so much military precision. So I'm hopeful one thing that might come from this is I'll just, I might ease up a little bit on myself and the team by just being a little bit more flexible. So I'm hoping that'll be a good thing.
If anybody's listening from Bay, they'll be glad to hear that, right? I'm sure you rule with an iron fist, Pete. Thank you. Jez, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just looping back to what Sara and Pete just said, actually, it is about being flexible, because I think as a people manager or a department manager, you're so used to people coming to you and having the answers or knowing where to point people, and then suddenly these are all new problems that we've never come across and no one knows what to do, and actually that's okay, because we're all working it out, and it's just being flexible to say, yeah, I'm going to speak to somebody else about that and let's talk it through, or sorry, I don't know the answers, and that's still okay. So again, being flexible and just
patient.
Being, and easy on everybody else.
I think that's fair. That's to Sarah's point as well, isn't it? I guess in many ways. Andy, you had your logo up.
Yeah, hi. I was just going to say, the same kind of. I think this is the third week now that I've worked from home. Last week was particularly stressful, and the week before was, But I guess it's about I've spent a lot of time trying to work out the lines of communication with my team and the people that. And it's quite interesting. You realise that there's certain people that you speak to quite a bit, but you don't really need to, and there's other people that you don't speak to that much that you do really need to talk to. And I'm also really trying to put lots of better gaps in between meetings or activities, because I need to actually, do some work as well. But and the point being with the mental health, at the end of last week, my head felt like it was going to explode. Just so intense, and I was forgetting things. Literally, I would be writing an email, mean to kind of follow up, let's say put a calendar invite in for someone, and literally within 5 seconds I'd forgotten and something else was coming at me. It's really, really, really intense, and so I think I'm just trying to manage that now. And obviously we teach younger people as well, and I want to try to get that message across to them as well.
That's a good point.
Just take less. I think this is the classic situation where less is more, in a sense. Just take it easy, take it slowly.
Yeah, and I always find like with working from home is there's been studies that have been done around people overcompensate when they're at home naturally as well, because you're at home, and historically working from home was always seen as a bit of a kind of DOS day, a skive day, or perceived in that way. I mean, when as an L&D practitioner, I would spend my day writing content, and you'd be super busy, but then you would probably jump on the emails and you'd probably work longer than you need to, just to kind of overcompensate in that respect. Jenny, you had a point to make.
Yeah, I was just going to echo what some of the guys have already said about us all being in this together. And this is a unique situation, but I think because everyone's in it together, that is quite comforting. And it links back with what Emma was saying before about actually surprising herself by being able to reach out, because we are all in it together rather than feeling like you're the only person. So I think keeping those lines of communication open, with videos, with all the networks that everyone's got, is just really important, especially with some of the more junior and younger people in the teams, making sure that they're okay, especially if they're on their own, or maybe they're living with friends, but they're kind of stuck with very limited accommodation. Maybe they don't have a garden, they're not with their families, that kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Sarah, you had a point.
I think it was just about the points we were making earlier about being able to switch off, and the challenge of obviously being at home is you start and you finish normally on a normal day of working from home, and you've got some order and structure in your life. But what I'm really conscious about trying to get the message out and try and share that with the teams is that if I'm working at night at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I'm not expecting people to respond to me at that point of time. It's because maybe I've taken an hour and a half off at bedtime and tea time to do that and spend that time with my child. So I'm not expecting, everyone to do that and be responding at that time of day. So again, that's the kind of the lines of communication, setting boundaries for yourself and knowing that boundaries and talking about that with your manager, saying, look, I'm logging off now. I'm going for lunch for an hour, so I won't be available. It's just being honest and, just
giving yourself a break, right?
Everyone. Yeah. And everyone has to have that break. So.
Okay, so I'm going to come to Chloe, then Paul, and then I'm going to go to another question. Chloe.
Yeah, mine was just sort of going from what you said about people overcompensating. I think that happens a lot, especially on the engineering side in our teams. And I think it's, for me, it's having that structure in the day. So making sure, like, I'll put alarms in for 15 minutes before lunch to remember to take the lunch, and 15 minutes before the end of the day to remember that I need to log off when I've had this stuff done, and having like a list of things that we want to try and get done through the day. Yeah, you'll probably not get them all done, but just having some sort of set out plan just to make you feel like you're on sort of a bit of a roll. Yeah, essentially. And then, in terms of sort of the onboarding, I think that's probably one of the bigger challenges for us, is making sure that as we're still onboarding people and new starters are coming, that they have enough support from us, because you're not getting that face-to-face in the office support. You need to have enough sort of coffee breaks with them, making sure that they have that physical wellness as well.
Yeah, good. I want to come back to that point actually, Chloe, but Paul, you had a point to make.
Actually, it was exactly the same point. I've actually, for the last, I think about 4 years, I've had a standing meeting every day, have a quarter of an hour in the morning, mid-morning, an hour lunch, and a quarter of an hour mid-afternoon in my diary. And I don't always do them, obviously, you shift it around to accommodate other things, but having them in your diary every single day just makes you get up, if you can, get up from your desk, go and have a cup of tea or whatever, and a break. Because the thing is, I think those things happen more naturally in the office. If someone else says, do you want a cuppa, and you kind of, you take yourself away from work. But if you're at home doing it, you don't have those triggers. And as Chloe said, just literally a reminder popping up in your diary is really important.
And that's the point I want to build on, is that, at the moment we're battling all these emails coming in over here, and then all these calls like this. We're staring at kind of conference calls all day, every day, right? So you've got all the kind of work stuff happening, and we're not having any of those water cooler moments where we have a bit of chit chat and a bit of a conversation, or you can maybe just find out something about a project that you wouldn't have found out in a more formal setting. So how are you maintaining, even just maintaining social interactions with your colleagues? We come to work not just to get the job done, but to interact with people that we've worked with for years who we count as friends. I mean, what are you doing to maintain those important relationships? Andy, Grace, wow, there's a lot of you there. Let's start with Andy.
We've set up we're starting something next week at Escape Studios, where our front of house, our front of house guy is going to be doing like virtual coffee catch-ups with people, broadcasting every day with another member of staff actually, and it's going to be purely kind of like light-hearted, funny little segments and slots, almost like a little magazine program, because our students generally have a break at 11 o'clock, and they'll walk through reception and they'll pass by Will, and he serves many functions for them. Sometimes it's just they can get a wake compound off him, but quite often it will be a bit of a therapy session or a bit of a chat, or whatever it happens to be. So we're going to put that into our diary, hopefully for every day going forward. So I think that gives a little bit of
a bit of realness. So George, you had your thing.
Yeah, I was going to say we've put in like an 11 a.m. tea break every day, so anyone can just dial into that, and it's just it's just open door. The other day I just had my Zoom. I just called somebody, and then we worked while on Zoom. So it wasn't a meeting, it wasn't a call. It was just we were both working, and we even honestly just hearing each other work together was nice.
Nice.
And then the other thing was, I haven't played PlayStation in years, and I played PlayStation with one of our employees in the week at the end of the day, and it was just a different way of. We still talked about work, and I was still checked in with him, sort of as his manager, how are you getting on? But it was like an interactive way to do it. So
nice.
There are 3 things that we've done in the last week that's worked quite well.
What was your game of choice, George?
It was just FIFA. It's just the only one I've got.
Brilliant. Thank you. Grace, you had a point.
I've got to say, I'm really lucky. I'm in a great position because I miss my colleagues. I'm really good friends with a lot of my work with. I'm missing their faces every day, honestly.
It's hard, isn't it?
So it is. So I feel like a way that we've stayed connected at Blue Zoo, I feel like me personally, I have to sort of make that, I have to make that step. I have to think to put in these lunch calls and call each other at the weekends and have this kind of new social structure that is kind of happening now. Calls are back, woo! But
yeah.
I feel like other ways that I've been staying kind of connected with my colleagues is we've been putting in place online board gaming evenings. Everybody's been swapping their Nintendo friendship codes so we can all play Animal Crossing together. I had to mention Animal Crossing.
I knew it. We've been there somehow. Well done.
And it's also been really nice because we've got like a little daily doodle challenge set up in the company. We're doing several different kinds of things to get people social, to keep that culture going and make sure that people are feeling connected.
Brilliant. I'm loving this gaming kind of angle that's going through the conversation. Yeah. Emma, did you have your hand up? Sorry, I know a few of you did. Sarah as well.
Yeah, we're doing a few things. We are, Friday night, it was somebody's birthday, so one of the guys DJ'd, and we all had a beer together. That was cool. We've got a quiz coming up this Friday night, which will be nice. We normally have a running group at work, and every lunchtime we go out on Bristol Downs. So we're keeping in touch, seeing what we're doing on Strava. That's been quite good. There's also some fitness groups in Bristol who are doing Zoom workouts. So I'm actually fitter than I've ever been because I'm doing PE Joe Wicks with the kids on the morning and then Zoom on the evening. So I'm going to be ripped at the end of this. Let me a beach at the end of this.
I know, Joe Wicks is certainly we should get a knighthood after all this is blown over, I think. He's absolutely smashing it. Sarah. Tanner.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you. Just to add to, I mean, there's loads of great stuff there and very similar stuff to us, really. We're doing another thing on a Friday night. We're doing Taskmaster thing, or a Friday afternoon. We do a Taskmaster thing where our chief exec, Phil, he sets out a task for everyone, and then they've got a few hours to create the task. This week it was the most innovative way to chuck a tea bag into a cup. So we have people sending in videos, and then he does like chooses the winner off the back of that, gets people engaging a bit there. We're doing other competitions and other stuff engaging as well. Some sporting stuff like yoga online and things that you were mentioning there, Emma. One thing I would say, just even aside from all of all the great, nice sort of activity bits, what we're trying to do is regularly make sure people are having communication in a regular way so they know what to expect each week. So aside from all the nice stuff, just making sure to create some structure around, like every Tuesday there's a message that comes out from our from one of our senior directors, and then on a Friday there comes a message from Phil, and then what we do try and do is regular Q&A. So we try and have the same thing happening every week as a very basic structure, so people know what to expect. They know a forum to be able to ask a question, and to everyone else's point, trying to balance, not trying to do too much and overload people, but just enough that people have got something that takes their fancy, that's going to be kind of going to help them personally.
Brilliant, thank you, Sarah. Chloe, you're next.
We've got quite a few different things that are trying to keep the company as a whole engaged, because a lot of our teams are very good at creating the coffee mornings and making sure that they're checking in the evenings and stuff. So I organised a working from home sort of challenge accepted group, where every morning we'll put in a challenge for the day, whether it's doodle of the day or favourite holiday photo, where it starts to get everyone in the company engaging, talking to each other, giving like memories and stuff. And it's just a bit of a positivity boost for everyone. And also just connecting everyone. And it's actually been really nice to get to know everyone a little bit more than I would have normally been in the office as well. It's been a massive sort of...
Weird irony.
Yeah, I know. And same with the running club as well. We have everyone on Strava. We've got everyone every morning. They'll put up a picture of what they've been running past, just to give a little bit of, I don't know, just excitement in the day, to be like, oh, that's such a nice view.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Jenny, you had a point.
Yeah, it's great to have all the structured stuff, and we've got some similar things going on. We did a virtual beer and pizza evening on Friday, because that's what we would have normally been doing. And actually, some people did have beer and pizza. Most of us just had snacks, but it was just nice for everyone to see each other.
Yeah, something nice about that, isn't there?
Yeah, there were nearly 100 people, and no one could get a word in edgeways. But it was just nice for Will to talk to everybody, and then people just started sort of breaking off into their chat groups, and it kind of worked.
Yeah, people do warm up with these things, don't they?
I think so. And aside from the structure, we've been encouraging teams to have virtual lunch breaks together on Zoom.
Nice.
So just to have something less structured as well.
Really is important to have the balance, isn't it? To Sarah's point as well, it's about, you know, all the fun stuff and the gaming stuff and the kind of pizza and beers, but also the comms and the information from the company, feeling connected to your studio or your place of work. Sara, you had a point to raise. I was coming to you.
Yeah, I mean, besides the structure thing that we're all doing, like we have the yoga online, and like within my team, the tea break, and we had drinks on Friday together. But I think I found myself reaching out to basically any kind of communication. Like sometimes a question, just writing it down is not enough. So I would just say, hey, I'm sending you a voice message on WhatsApp. So I take WhatsApp and I send a message there. And sometimes I'm just like, okay, no, I need to actually like explain this to you. So let's have a quick video call. So just, I found like also in my team, everyone was very open to have this kind of flexible communication and just jump in to different sides. The video call, the normal call, the voice message.
Yeah, mix it up a bit, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think there's like one app that is like the best and most inclusive and etc. So just being able to just connect to everyone through it. I found myself be more flexible, but it was actually very nice. Yeah.
Good, thank you, Sara. Emma, you had a point to make.
Yeah, just that it's incredible with how much we all care and how social everyone's being. But I don't know about you, my phone is buzzing all day with WhatsApp groups. My Slack channel is going mental. My email is going mental, and the news is on in the background. And that I find overwhelming at points because it's too much information coming from all directions and I can't cope with all of it. So to look after myself, I've muted all the notifications on everything. So actually I can make the choice of when I'm going to engage.
It's really good advice.
I stopped reading the newspaper apart from the BBC 6 o'clock, the main news from the government, and I've ignored everything else because there was so much fake news and conflicting news
that's insane, isn't it?
That I'm looking at the World Health Organization, the NHS, and the government, and that is it. And I make the choice when I'm going to do that and mute everything else if you are getting overwhelmed, because constant information 24/7 just makes you feel anxious and depressed.
Particularly when you're in the same place all the time as well. So everything's coming into this like eye of the storm constantly, right?
Into your safe place, into your home environment, and
your home.
You can't go out and you can't get away from it. So you make the choice of when you want that information, and it doesn't have to be all the time. And if you choose you want a night where you don't want to speak to anyone, that is okay.
Cool. Good, great advice. Thank you, Emma. Come to Tom now. Tom, you had a point.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of add to that by saying I think a lot of one of the main things that can be done is add structure, and not just in terms of when you can like come to work, in terms of, you know, go for a walk around the block before you start for your bit of exercise, whatever, but in sense of by turning all those chat messages off and not being at every single person's kind of beck and call an instant thing, because then you just never get anything done. So I think it's being structured in the sense of, okay, I'm going to go and check on those chat messages every 10 or 20 minutes. So you can actually block some time out and think of structuring your day in that way as well, in terms of how you can communicate more efficiently rather than being constantly interrupted, then spending 10 minutes getting up to speed again and again, but then getting interrupted again and again, which means by the end of the day, you've actually got nothing done. So I think structure can be looked at in a few different ways like that.
Yeah, we talk a lot about in a lot of training sessions around even just basic time management, like all of these WhatsApp messages, or even if you're in the office under normal circumstances, getting tapped on your shoulder, somebody dragging you away, the phone ringing. I mean, we're multiplying that by hundreds right now. I mean, it's constant. Like Emma said, it's Slack, it's WhatsApp, it's email, it's phone calls, and it's distracting. And I mean, I think it takes, officially, don't quote me on this, but it takes 12 minutes to refocus after any interruption. So imagine that. I mean, you're not getting any work done. You might be busy, but you might not necessarily be as productive as you need to be. Jenny, you had a point to make. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, I was going to say, not only have we got all of that going on and the overwhelm that Emma was talking about, but we're all going through a giant period of change all at the same time. So that's comforting, but I think we all have to recognise how much change we're all needing to adapt to. And I think that's more challenging for some than others, but we also need to really recognise that and take breaks, make sure we take breaks and look after ourselves and each other.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Grace, you had a point to make.
I was just going to quickly say, somebody said something quite good to me the other day. They said the news is like alcohol at the moment. Know your limits.
Brilliant. We should have finished on that. That should have been the end quote, Grace. Thank you. Jez, you had a point to make.
Yeah, just looping back to what everybody was saying, is just about being protective of your time, and it's okay to be selfish. So what I'm telling my team is, you know, if people are just Zooming you all day, tell them to follow the usual process of submitting a ticket, because that way you're not being taken out of what you're doing, and you again can control what you're doing.
Take a bit
during
of power
the day.
back. Yeah, completely.
And
Andy,
you can still be helpful. Sorry.
Thank you, Jez. Andy.
Yeah, I just thought the point that Emma made to start this little round of the conversation is really, really worth reiterating, you know, and just that whole thing of information overload. And I think it's quite natural that we all did it to begin with. And in many ways, you know, there's lots of funny stuff going around, as well as, you know, all the WhatsApp messages, and you feel much more connected, don't you? But I just think it's important for people, particularly, again, I talk from the point of view of talking to our students, really. It's okay to be on your own. You know, it's okay to be silent. It's okay to be on your own. It's okay to just get on with your work, because that's what everyone else should be and is doing, really. You know, and just kind of put that social bit into its place.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Paul, you had a point.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, you know, the way that we communicate with each other and with our teams. It's important that we take responsibility when you're asking someone to do something or asking for some information, that you know, make a considered approach to that question and take time, rather than just firing out lots of messages to people just to get yourself busy and, you know, palming off emails to other people. But actually, you know, you use some time to craft a question a little bit, give people some, you know, light-hearted information, a little bit of an uplift, a bit more information than you might do normally, just to, you know, kind of spread out the communication a little bit, rather than just, you know, being guilty of being one of those people that's firing just another message to other people.
That point you make is really important around taking responsibility for how we communicate as well, because there's no, I mean, email has always been the worst offender for like no tone of voice, no like nuances. So an email that you might feel is quite okay and easy, and telling somebody to kind of, you know, commit something could be seen as an order, or could be seen as like, that person's upset with me. And then even on calls like this, sometimes, like, you sometimes forget that when you're not talking, your face has disappeared from the screen, and actually that's not the case. So I might be doing this call now and going, wait a minute, you know, Jenny doesn't seem happy, and I'll probably take no, you look lovely and happy, Jenny, but I'm just saying, like, that I might go, you know, I might take all that on board. And it goes back to my point earlier about the lack of water cooler. Like, you can have a meeting, and then I might speak to somebody at the end of the meeting going, oh yeah, was that okay? Or, you know, I didn't mean to kind of say it in that way, or, you know, not that I have that a lot, but it's almost
Sarah,
like microaggressions.
I saw Sara yawning then. I saw the joke, Sarah. It's very good.
Nice one. So I've got a lot of squares here. So Tom, you were going to add to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I mean, there's so much advice out there, and I think it's worth bearing in mind everyone's different. So if one person says, oh, this works for me, don't get stressed if you try and it doesn't work. And I think we're all creative, so embrace that and experiment, try different things and see what works for you as an individual. You know, whether you've never, you know, tried using Headspace or something like that, just give it a go, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, try something else. Just every day try a different routine and see what works best for you.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Can I just add?
Yes, please do, George.
For that. Yeah, I think a lot of what people have said around structure and routine, I think we've tried to do the same with our team. So we've got nearly 20 on the HQ and team and 40 coaches. So there's having the kind of stand-up pulses meetings on the Monday morning, and even like the end of week celebration station where everyone comes together. That's felt really important to do, and almost just do everything we would usually do just virtually. The two things that I felt on your point, Simon, around not being able to gauge where somebody's at. In normal meetings in person, we'd always do a check-in. So we'd always check in on like how you're doing. Sometimes it might be a one-word check-in, you know, sometimes it might be a little bit longer, but actually keeping to that routine of pretty much every meeting that we do, we start with a check-in, even though it's virtual. So somebody can really be honest about where they're at. That's felt really important to do. And the second thing that we've always had as a routine is a reflection space. So once a month, we would have a space that isn't work related, where anybody could get together in our office in person, usually, just to kind of talk about where they're at. And again, it's just an open space that anybody can use. And we've kept that in the diary and ran it virtually. And people have really valued it. We've made it a bit more regular, so we've done it every week actually, just so people can dial in. And people have really just, I think, valued having a space where they can just share where they're at and be honest about where they're at. So they're the two sort of things that we've stuck to that have really been good.
Thank you, George. I mean, I'd like to build on that in that, talking about kind of, basic human needs, human contact. And, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine last week around, if you don't have the benefit of having a kind of loving family around you, or you're in a relationship, some people are in, flats probably by themselves at the moment. So you could potentially be looking at kind of 3 months of not even having a cuddle or or kiss or hug, or, the kind of basic human need of just being connected to people. I mean, it's more of a comment to throw out, but I don't know, what do people think about that? What can people be mindful of in that respect, you think? Chloe?
One thing I would say is, for me, the fact that we're in a situation where we do have Zoom and we do have different ways, house party, etc., and have to be able to connect with people. I think personally, I probably talked to more family and friends that I haven't in months in the last 3 weeks, just being so enlightening. Like, my cousin had a baby recently and she's in Dubai, and on the call with her pretty much every week. And I just think, out of something that can be quite negative of what's happening right now, there is positivity where you are actually getting to be more interactive with family that you don't get to see all the time.
So you're saying, harness those kind of the more kind of conversations you're having with loved ones, not hold on to that, right? I mean, Jenny, do you have a point to make on that?
Yeah, also your own community, your neighbours. In my street, we've got a WhatsApp group that we've just set up for this, so that when people need help, there's always going to be someone else who's well, who hopefully can go out and help. We've got it ready now. And actually, we joined with the next street's WhatsApp group, and there's a guy who plays the French horn every night at 7 o'clock. So everyone opens the door and listens to him. So little things like that can be really helpful, and it's a great way of connecting with your neighbours, even if you don't know them already.
Well, we have a chat group on my street. I might see if any of you plays the French horn. That sounds amazing. Pete, your point, Pete.
I'm doing so well. I put our logo upside down and I didn't unmute, so it's brilliant. I'm rubbish. I was just going to say is also knowing your team, because I think I was conscious in the first week that I was like, right, I know which people are parents because their kids are walking in and out of the calls, and I tend to know anyway, so I'm like making sure they've got time. But you saying about, I only realised on Friday that one of our team lives on their own, and I didn't know. Just something that I'd never realised, and I suddenly thought, actually, that's the person who maybe needs more of my time than the person who's got a house full of people, or it's the person I should make myself more available for. So I think there's an element of just understanding, even when you're not thinking of yourself, just understanding the other people and where they might need that human contact and getting people in touch with each other.
Thanks, Pete. Andy?
Say something about, I'm obviously, quite old now, actually, and but my needs were very different when I was a student, when I was younger, and the thought of being stuck in the house when I was like in my early 20s would have been really, really, really very hard. Whereas now, in many ways, my life is not that much different, I have to say, it's not massively different. I'm not out every night, but our students are young, aren't they? And I think that there's something maybe with the juniors in your place as well, that's something around that of, it must be much harder. I'm sure it's much harder to be stuck inside when you're younger. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing, really.
Yeah, I mean, what do people think about that? Emma?
Yeah, we've got a couple of younger artists who are in shared houses where they believe that somebody in their house has symptoms of the virus. And what do? They don't want anybody to be able to go and help them or take anything because they're looking after other people's well-being. But at the same time, I'm really concerned about theirs. So all I feel I can currently do is check in every day. Do you want me to leave any shopping outside your house? What can I do? Is there a way that I can lend you my car so you can drive to your mum's? Just anything to help someone feel safe and secure.
So all you can do really is just be there for someone, right? I mean, that's, like I say, any support you can offer. Sarah, you had a point. Sara. Sarah's now left the call, so you can embrace Sara now.
I answer to both. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, from my point of view of being in the early 20s, I think that working is really the key. I'm also still doing my master's, so I'm also studying, and that really keeps me busy, probably busier than normal. So I'm not, personally, I'm not suffering too much for not going outside. But I'm also like, I'm the type of person that has a lot of inside the house hobbies. Of course, I'm missing my friends, but to be honest, like on how, like what is called the house party and all those chats, having a drink, that it's a good chain, like it's a good substitute. But I see people around me really struggling, and I think as long as you make sure that you're surrounded by things that make you happy, maybe it's like silly things. Like I personally just removed myself from a situation that I realized after 2 weeks of being stuck there that I wasn't happy at all. And it was just adding and to the stress that was already there, because I work, I have uni, I have the fact that I'm Italian, and the situation in Italy has been very bad for much longer. So I have that, and being in HR means that it's literally like COVID 24/7 is the only thing that people talk about, and you work on it, and it's no stop. So I just removed myself from the situation, went back home to my mom, and now like I spent like the weekend not talking to anyone, and it was great. I had a detox, and it's just you have to make sure that if that one candle, if that one perfume or video game makes you happy more than something that would make more sense, you get that. It's the time to be a teeny tiny bit selfish. Even if I'm seeing a lot of like people being super generous and going to go shopping for people that are more vulnerable, and especially like in my home country, like the flash mobs every single night at 6. Here people are on the balconies just singing from like popular Italian songs to the national theme to any kind of songs, just to be all together.
Do what makes you happy, for sure. Thank you, Sara. Jenny, you had a point to make.
Yeah, picking up on what Sara was saying, it's identifying those things that really bring you joy, and then making sure you build that into your day or week so that it sustains you. And one of the things that we've sort of been talking quite a lot about is resilience, which is really what Sara's been talking about. You decided to take yourself away and do things that brought you joy. And I think one little tip that I've been given that's great is to just think about your life. You're in a little rowing boat going along your river. Sometimes we hit rocks. At the moment, we're all hitting rocks. But one of the things we need is to keep our water level up to a good level so that we can go along in our boat. And it's about thinking about what are the things in your life that help you keep your water level up.
Jenny, tell me more. Tell me more. Have you got a diagram you could share with me?
I do. I have this. I don't know if you can see it.
You have to talk it through because we'll be going audio on Friday as well. So be as descriptive as possible.
Okay, so here we've got the water level that you need. This is unique for everybody. And the things that you know, take a bit of time to reflect on what helps you in life, just keep your water level up, your resilience, you know. It could be taking breaks when you're working or from looking after kids or loved ones, making sure you get exercise and moving. But these are all different for everyone. These are mine. But, you know, everyone will have different things that sustains them and makes them feel good and really gets that bit of joy, makes them feel better. And then also thinking, well, what are these things that maybe aren't so good, you know, like the toxic people?
There's plenty of them about.
We want to zone them out. Everyone's going to have something that isn't quite so good, like, you know, drinking too much or not getting enough sleep. For me, I've been staying up really late and watching news and looking at social media, which is probably not a great idea. So I know I need to do less of that, but we all have our things, and it's about really, maybe if it works for you, a lot of us are visual people, keeping that visual thing in mind and drawing up your own little river.
Nice.
Level, seeing what.
Thank you for sharing that, Jenny. That's amazing. Jez, do you have a diagram as well?
No diagram, sorry.
But
I'll prepare one for next time. What I was going to say is, obviously I look after developers who tend to be a bit more introverted, and actually a lot of the tips are out there are more for extroverts. So it's, again, trying to find something that's suitable for you, because everything that's out there may not be right. Because, you know, a lot of my guys, they can actually get drained from having too much contact with people. And sometimes I get like that as well. So it's about finding what's right for you in that given moment.
Everyone's different, right? Grace, you were going to say something. Oh, Grace, you're on mute. So we're going to do Grace, Jenny, Andy.
Just saw it. Something small that I do every day if I'm feeling like I'm extra anxious, like right now. I'll write down something I'm grateful for, just every single day. Because going back to the young people thing, I'm kind of coming to terms with the fact I'm probably going to have to spend my 26th birthday indoors, not seeing any friends, which I'm very privileged that that's my problem, but I am a bit sad about it. So it really helps me when I kind of think about some of the stuff that's not so great. When I write down how, like, I've got a great job, I've got, you know, a house, I've got, a flat, I've got a flat that I can live in, I'm warm, I'm safe, I've got nice food, I could order a takeaway, all these things that, the stuff that hires my level, my water level.
Exactly, there you go. Brilliant. So seamlessly back to Jenny.
Yeah, I think the other thing to remember is it's great to have this menu of stuff that keeps us afloat, but it's also really good to remember that there's so many things coming at us. Zoom, yoga classes, aerobics, Joe Wick. There's actually also loads of stuff coming in that can be overwhelming. So it's about taking the time to really just stop and breathe and think about, but what do I need and what's going to work for me, rather than thinking, oh, that person or my mate is doing that. That's great. You don't have to do everything. You just do what works for you.
Thank you, Jenny. Andy?
I was just wondering if Giles could say a bit more about the introverts, the way that you were thinking about that. That applies to a lot of the people that we, students and colleagues. So I wonder if there's anything else you could share with us about that.
To be honest, it's just kind of thinking differently, because I think, you know, a lot of the suggestions we're getting is connect with everybody, have a Hawaiian t-shirt day and everybody bring
exactly and not everyone wants to do that, do they, you know?
Exactly. So I think for me it's just making sure that I'm regularly checking in with my team, and just for short periods of time, rather than forcing them to sit in front of a screen and talk to me for half an hour. It's a 5 minutes, hey, how are you going, check in, and then sort of leave them to it, and then just making sure that their leads and suits are checking on them regularly as well, but not in a bombarding, let's get everybody partying kind of way. Though exactly, they did have
like sort of forced fun, isn't it? I'm not into that at any period in my, you know, I don't like it, but I know some people do. That's cool, you know. And it's always, there always seems to be that slight imbalance, I think, of if you're a person if you're a very gregarious and kind of extroverted person, people think that you're happier more often, I think, whereas if you're just a bit more introverted and a bit more self-contained, people often kind of say, oh, what's wrong with you? It's like, no, nothing, I'm fine, you know, I'm okay. So I guess it's making sure that those people don't slip through the checking in kind of trapdoor, if you like. I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say, but I guess it's, you know, we've got hundreds of different students, and it's trying to work out
you're making a lot of sense, Andy. I think it's a bit about what Emma talked about knowing your team and knowing what people are going to respond to, and also not putting in measures that exclude people who are introverted. So don't put it in Hawaiian shirt day every day. You can almost have a balance of things. It's a bit like what I do with learning development is, you know, not everything's a workshop, because not everybody wants to come to a room full of people and have a conversation. Some people want to have a coach or a mentor or a more one-to-one. So I think it's a bit towards what Paul's saying about just take a step back, and it's almost like crafting the email. It's crafting the initiative, crafting the mechanic that you use. Don't just go, yeah, wouldn't it be great to do a big hangout, you know, with 100 people on it? Tom?
Exactly.
I was just going to say, I think that's something that can come out of this is the fact that, for example, when we have kind of life drawing at work, a lot of people like feel too intimidated or don't like being in a big group of people to do that life drawing. So we're thinking about ways we can do that where people can work, do it from home, but that will actually make it more attractive to more of the introverts that don't want to join in big groups. So actually from that point of view, it makes a lot of those social activities more inclusive because it's not forcing everyone into an environment they're not comfortable in. So there is a benefit to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important that we've touched on that. I think there's definitely room for another kind of sequel to this conversation as we go through this period of time for all of us. Would you all be up for kind of coming back for a sequel? Maybe in 2-3 weeks time and see where we're all at.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So to kind of wrap it up, I know Jenny, did you want to add something? You had your hand up. Make sure they're good parting words. It's got to be mic drop moment.
It was just simply to say that we're going to start sharing recipes, which is so basic and simple, but something everyone can join in with if they want to.
Brilliant. Can you share your recipes with all of us, please?
Sure.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, before I go upstairs and fire up the PlayStation, because you've inspired me to get back gaming, other consoles are available. I wanted just to kind of put out a final question before we kind of hit the hour mark of anybody who wants to throw out any top tips and quick top tips or resources that are available. I mean, obviously, Sanctus.io, is that the website, George?
Yeah, all I'll say is we've been running free groups for the public, so facilitated by Sanctus coaches, spaces where people can connect and talk. We did our first few last week, and it's just a good space. And then we've also created a page that's curating all the resources that we're sharing on our website. So again, there's just two sort of sides there that we're trying to support people with.
Thank you, George. Anybody else want to offer anything up? Emma?
Yeah, just to not go easy on yourself. You're not a teacher. You're not perfect. You are human. If the kids have been downstairs watching TV for 2 hours so you could get a podcast in, that is okay. If you haven't exercised every day, that is okay. Just go easy on yourself and be kind.
Brilliant. Thank you, Emma. Grace?
Quite similarly, and I think we touched on it throughout the conversation, but I feel like a lot of working from home advice is quite judgmental. It's very like, get dressed, do exercise, and just like Emma said, you can if you want, but actually pay attention to the stuff that rises your happiness waters, and maybe even write it down, like I said before, and then you can actually see it.
Thank you, Grace. Jez?
Something that I keep reminding my team is if you're sick, you should take the day off. Just because you can crawl to your machine doesn't mean that you should. And actually now is the time when you really need to look after your mental and physical health and take a day off, disconnect.
Excellent advice. Thank you, Jez. Paul?
Yeah, just to say that I think there's people are maybe even putting expectations on themselves, like, oh, I've got all this time, I can get fitter, I can learn a new language. But obviously, that's far, far from the truth. I think, as Emma said, and the others, there may be times where you actually just want to sit and stare at the wall and do nothing for a while, just get your brain back. And everyone should be comfortable, just absolutely taking a total break.
Thank you, Paul. And can't believe I'm doing this, but I think I might be giving Andy the final word. Andy?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I was just going to say that I think a message that I would like to give out to our students, particularly, and probably other, junior artists and people, is that the industry is still working. People, we're on calls, you guys are all working. That's amazing. That is amazing, isn't it? When you think of how many people are going through really difficult times, there are still people at work, which is amazing. And then the last thing I was going to say is, I think it's, even though this is a really obvious thing to say, like, everyone else is at home as well, Yeah,
it's true.
I forget sometimes. I think, oh God, I bet they're all talking about stuff at work. No, they're not. They're all at home separately. I have to remind myself of that all the time. It's really odd.
Brilliant. Well, on that note, I want to thank everybody for getting involved with this episode. I think it's been really enlightening. I hope it's gone well for all of you on the call. Give me thumbs up, virtual or emoticon. Brilliant. I need to take a photo. It's reminded me for the podcast socials. So let's do that now quickly. Everybody say cheese. Look at that. Hold your logos up. Doesn't work quite well on the audio podcast, but we're going to go with it. Nice. And I want to thank everyone on the call. I want to thank Tom. I want to thank Jenny, Sara from Framestore, Chloe, Emma, Sarah from Jellyfish, George from Sanctus, Pete, Jez, Grace, Andy, and Paul in no particular order. Thank you so much. Everybody take care of yourselves, take care of your families, take care of your loved ones, and look out for a sequel to this particular episode, because I think we're going to do one. I've got loads more questions I want to get through, and you've all committed to it, and it's all recorded, so you can't get out of it. So thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Cheers,
See ya. Can't wait to see you guys in person.
Yeah,